I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys, welcome. This is Win the Wilderness, the after show. We're on season 1, episode 4 today. Oh my gosh. We get to our final 4, our very absolute final 4 people today. I was surprised. I don't know if you guys were surprised. Before we get right into it, let me introduce our panel. I'm your moderator, Kay Montgomery. This is Mike Thieling in the building, expert on all things reality TV show, especially competitions.
Oh, you know it, guys. Later on today, of course, we're doing the after shows for Married at First Sight, which is kind of like a love competition, and Survivor, which is the real competition. But I'm excited to talk about episode 4. Maybe stuff's finally going to heat up. We'll see.
And Ashman with the insights.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Finally, we get to see some serious competition, more survival in this episode.
Yeah. So to start things off, CJ, who I am, is like one of my favorite people on this show, says tells these guys how he survived in negative 32-degree temperatures for 3 days when he wasn't expecting, because I guess he got caught out in the wilderness in some kind of situation. So that cues them up about their next challenge, which is they're going to have to build housing, a tent type of situation, and they have to live out there with like very few materials. It felt very similar to me to episode 1 and the first challenge that they had. I mean, I guess they really weren't helping each other. It was just the couples doing it. But I was just like, what more are they learning that they didn't learn in episode 1, challenge 1? I don't know. What were your thoughts, Ashman?
I think what made it different than the first challenges, is that one, they were no longer protected in the campgrounds, because the original campgrounds had the electrical fence around them.
Oh, yeah,
so they were more protected. This time they were taken way out to the glaciers. So they were literally in the habitat of like the wolves and the bears. So now they didn't have that extra protection. And I thought what made it more interesting was their limited amount of equipment. So they only ended up with the sleeping bag, rain gear, and their survival kit. So I thought, that made a huge difference, because they had to build everything with everything very minimal and just use whatever they have and experience that overnight. So it's kind of like anything could have happened, and they kind of they no longer had the security blanket of the electrical shelves. So I think that made it a little bit more thrilling.
It sounds like somebody's trying to build a new structure as we speak at one of your houses there.
I don't hear any hammering. I'll mute myself. I don't hear hammering.
No, I was not impressed. This was kind of silly. They just built lean-to shelters. I mean, maybe I'm way too ingrained with Survivor, but this is like Survivor day 1. They build shelters, and all they really did was lash some trees together. Again, like maybe that's why I'm disappointed in the way the show is going, because this is survival stuff 101. If I knew I was going on a show where I had this ultimate prize, again, we talked, it's got to be a 6-figure prize with the house and the land and all this other kind of stuff. I would maybe read a book on survival in the wilderness. I'd maybe take a little class or something before. This is really easy, basic stuff. It's okay, yeah, there's no electric fence for bears. There's no way the production is letting bears near them, right? So I don't care. I don't know. I wasn't impressed. And again, we only had the 3 remaining couples who didn't get to go up the mountain yet. So again, just because these people impressed on day 1 means they have nothing left to learn? That doesn't make any sense to me. Everybody should be doing all the activities. Yeah. I would make this way more cutthroat if I was producing it.
Yeah, I thought the one thing that did scare me, I wasn't too scared about the bears either, but the one thing that did freak me out is when they were hiking into camp, Jane said, asked Jane if she was scared. And Jane was like, I'm not scared. I have 2 guns and this big dog. And I was like, I would be afraid. All of these people, and they have guns and they've never shot a gun before.
Oh, none of those
you
people
have
have
a
guns.
better chance of getting shot by one of them. I was like,
What are you talking about? Kay,
Her
what
like,
are you
I have 2
talking about? Kay, none of them have guns. CJ and Cutter had the guns. What are you talking
Jane
about?
said, I have 2 guns.
She said, I've got these 2 guys with guns and a big dog. It's CJ and Cutter. They're the ones with the guns.
I was like, girl.
They're
like,
not
you
giving
got
these
guns?
They're not giving these
Literally
idiots
just learned how to
guns.
shoot the day before yesterday. Like,
Come
there
on.
is no way I will be
We're not-
hiking with people who don't know how to shoot and got guns. Like,
Come on. We're in America. We're not in the UK. We're the liability of insurance. We're not giving these people guns. They don't have guns.
I don't know how things work in Alaska. They already told us you don't need a permit to conceal carry. That dog probably got a gun. I don't know what's going on.
But unless, so I mean, here you go. Unless they actually did stuff for this beforehand with the show, none of them would even legally be allowed to have a gun regardless, because they'd have to go through a background check and all this other kind of stuff.
I'm not sure. Would they have to go through a background check in Alaska though?
Yeah. You have to go through. I actually looked it up after the episode because I was curious. You still, from a gun shop like that, they still have to put you through the FBI background check and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's good. Because they made it seem like they handed out guns like candy in Alaska.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild. You don't need a permit to conceal carry. Everyone has a gun. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's like
What the heck?
once you get a gun, you don't need a special concealed carry permit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, they're not
Okay,
giving these people guns. It's CJ and Cutter.
I was like, girl, like you just learned how to shoot the day before yesterday and barely that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was personally surprised that Peter and Jane made it to OC Mountain. Of course, on my list was B and Theo. I picked them from the get-go. So I was sad to see them not make it. What were you guys' feelings about Theo and Jane and how they decided on who made it up?
I was surprised too. I mean, I was rooting for Theo and B even since the last episode, and I think they've like demonstrated natural survival skills. So I was definitely surprised that Jane and Pete were chosen, but then after their encounter with Duane and Rena, it kind of seemed to be more of a match also. So it was interesting that I thought Theo and B were probably more equipped for that lifestyle, but it almost seems like Jane and Pete are really ready to make that commitment and they totally wanted it. But it was interesting that they were the chosen ones.
Chosen ones.
Were you gonna say something, Mike? What were your thoughts about that?
Oh, I can always say stuff. I had them on my fantasy. I kind of picked them just because they were an older couple, and I have a feeling that's why they got brought up. I thought Theo and B are probably way more suited to do all this stuff, but I'd be surprised if I'd be surprised if the 2 younger couples win this, just for the fact that if we're really going by what Duane and Rena want, they want people who are going to sit in that cabin and never again leave. And the young people want to go out and explore and live life as, all of us young people do. It totally makes sense. The older folks who already have kids and stuff, they're way more apt to settle down. They can still do the hard work like we learned today. They're not too far off from the age that Duane and Rena were when they went there and started doing all the stuff. So that's cool. But the older couples are way more apt to hunker down, improve the property, and maintain this legacy that OC Mountain, because in Duane's head, it's like Mount Rainier,
Right. He named it with all these other famous mountains.
Mount Rushmore. It's all the same, baby. OC Mountain is right up there. So we got to maintain it lest the jungle and nature takes it back.
Yeah, I was like, huh? So, okay.
Come back
so
and
then
bears are living in the house.
Peter and Jane make it up. And I thought this, like the little cut they did of them when they went up was more interesting, because we hear from the voiceover that they finally kind of acknowledge they're getting old, Duane and Rena, and they're saying like we can't do all the things we used to be able to do. We used to have this huge garden, we used to be growing all of this stuff, now we just have a rhubarb patch. We used to be doing this and that, and now we can't do all of that stuff. So I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Like, we haven't necessarily heard them say that before. We had kind of figured it, but it was interesting to hear them actually talk about it. But then you get Jane and Peter had come up, and they're the oldest in the bunch. And I feel like Peter's like a retired cop, right? So I feel like he looks like he's more in shape and with it. But they have Jane come in, and her and Jane are canning stuff. I just felt like I'm not sure that they demonstrated exactly that they were up to the task. I don't know. What were your thoughts, Mike?
Sure. I mean, the tasks that they get challenged with are very unfair. So Jane has to can some fruit, but last episode they're wading around and having to clear this gigantic trough of water and crap and leaves. I don't know. I don't think we're getting a true cross section of how difficult the work is actually going to be. If that was the case, you'd make everybody be doing really difficult stuff and show them the true Alaskan life. So that's taking it out a little bit for me. But I thought when they were finished with Duane and Rena, that this was probably the most confident Duane and Rena have been. I think, at least my initial gut reaction in these two, because I think they're just at that right stage in their life when Duane and Rena see themselves in them, and they can, take it further. But yeah, I guess you got to can stuff. That's good to learn.
Yeah, she was like, it's the only way you're going to eat in the winter. But yeah, just the level of difficulty. What were you thinking, Ashman, during that whole situation when they went up?
Totally. I mean, I got to agree with Michael on that one. It's like, we're not really seeing what it takes to survive in Alaska, right? Like those aren't actual survival skills needed. So I don't think we're getting much out of the task when the couples go up, because those are more maintenance skills. And as I said last time, I'm like, we need to see survival skills. We need to see instinctive skills. These are just maintenance skills. So I wasn't impressed by that, but I think they did connect with this couple the most. And it's more so because like it really reminded them of themselves, like, and their own disclosure. Like they're like, we didn't start this till our late 40s. I had no idea. I thought this man started this like, legacy of his in his 20s, and he's dedicated his entire life to this. And if they could, they would remain on that mountain, but clearly like they can't keep up with the maintenance anymore. So I feel like they connected with Jane and Pete, because they're like, they even said it, they're like, they remind me of us. They're totally in love. I think they've been together for like 13 years. So they're like, they're connected, they have the couple experience, and they both really want it. And I think the overall bonuses out of all the couples, they can commit to it the most. And that's what Duane and Rena are looking for, like somebody to stay there and not leave and build on that property and then do what they did when it comes for their time to give it up.
It's going to be interesting. I hope we get to find out where Duane and Rena are going to go after this whole thing is over. Or is this like a Hugh Hefner Playboy Mansion scenario where, if you remember this, when the Playboy Mansion went up for sale, part of the covenants was if you buy it, he gets to live there for the rest of his days. Like he's just your permanent tenant, even if you buy it. So I wonder if like Duane and Rena are going back to the tiny shack that they lived for 9 years and they're just on your property now. I don't know. Because it doesn't
seem good point.
It doesn't seem like they want to leave, nor like should they if they don't want to. It's dope. Like that's their legacy, that's their place. Maybe instead of giving up this legacy, they just need to hire like a caretaker and build them a little cottage or something on the corner to help out. I don't know.
That's facts. Because Duane, remember, he keeps saying he doesn't want to go and that his ghost will haunt the place and all kind of stuff like that.
They don't want to leave this place. This is their mountain. They don't want to leave.
Like, honey, you're gonna have to go. Like, leave these folks alone. You're not gonna be hunting these people. She is so funny.
Especially to someone like me, I would level the place and put up a log cabin hotel and just like have people come out and experience the wilderness. Boom, and start making money.
I'm interested also in like how they've been making money. Like they're saying, how are these people going to sustain themselves? What are they going to do? I'm like, how did you guys, did they just have money? Like, are they just from money and they decided to be antisocial and always just wanted to live on their own? I think that's interesting. I agree with you, Mike. I would like more Rena and Duane information. Just like, we just need a Q&A with them just to get background and more information about what's going on with them.
They have to be fairly self-sustaining, actually, when you really get into it. Let's say they owned a house, back wherever they lived, and they had some kind of savings or something like that. He went out and homesteaded, so he probably got all that property for free. His whatever acres was probably free if he homesteaded it. And then they built all this stuff by themselves, and it's all from the timber and stuff around. He's got solar panels going on. They're collecting water and things like that. They're probably, you're not getting electricity out there, so they're producing and using all their own electricity. So their running costs are probably fairly low just in general. They're making and growing a lot of their own food and things like that. Maybe they're trading. I don't know. If you're in the Alaskan outback, maybe you're trading. They probably have a surplus of rhubarb because they're probably really tired of eating the rhubarb. So they're probably trading rhubarb for some bison shanks and stuff. Yeah, you got a little economy going on there.
But they did mention to the other couples, they're like, it's really important to have some type of income flowing here, which kind of makes me think maybe they did have something like, wherever they're originally from, still running, or they did have children, like maybe running something, because they did make a point of saying you have to have some type of income. So more disclosure would be nice to just know about them. Like now that we're even learning that they only started this venture in their late 40s. So who knows? Yeah, who knows? Maybe they had regular jobs and in their late 40s, they started this and were able to keep like residual income or something from it.
They're probably spies or something crazy like that. Hush, hush, government black site. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, that would be really interesting. That would be really interesting to find out. So Peter and Jane, surprise, guys, they choose them. They
can't believe it.
Stay.
Tension was so high.
They like them and they get to stay.
Even the competitors didn't actually think that they were going to possibly be kicked off. As soon as they were called up to the mountain, the other two were like, well, goodbye. And we're crying. It's like, couldn't they have said no, but they still want 4? You have no shot. They already knew. There was no hiding it. That, if you get called up, you're done. The hero of this show is CJ. It's basically his word. Like, he's the one you got to impress.
That's what I realized. Absolutely. I was like, CJ is calling the shots. Like, he tells them everything. They're like, oh, that's a good point. Whatever he says is a good point. And then afterwards, he goes, I think you guys made a good decision. I'm like, bros, this is CJ's decision. Like, guys, 100%. Yeah.
CJ and Cutter are gunning for their own show. They're going to have some survival. Like, maybe they're the new dual survival people, or, Survivor Man. They're going to have some Alaska survival show. That's just the two of them, killing bear and eating moose and stuff and having a great time.
They'd be great at that.
Buddy comedy.
I feel like they love it. They
and
enjoy
their dog.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, so then it's really sad. Down the mountain, we see everybody packing up and going home, like when they make the final decision. And it could just be me, not B and Theo, the other couple.
Jerome.
Yeah, Jerome and Laura. When I tell you, I feel like Laura was happy to leave. Like, she already has that giant smile with beautiful dimples, but they were packing stuff up and she was just chatting and making jokes. And I think she was like, I am so glad to be out of here and be done with this. Like, I felt like they were the least suited, He's like a university lecturer, and she, they were like, she especially was like, peace. I think it's one of those things where you think like it's gonna be fun, and then you actually go into it and you're like, oh no, I don't want to do this. And then you get off the hook and you're like, yes. Like, I have totally had those situations before, and I really felt that coming from her.
Every one of them is going to land back at London Heathrow Airport after this is done and go, what the hell did we do? I don't want to be in the frozen Alaskan tundra trying to find food. I want to go to McDonald's or whatever.
Yep, we dodged a bullet. Straight up. We dodged a bullet. What were you going to say, Ashwin?
Yeah, no, I was going to say for Laura and Jerome, like, they're a really young couple, and I think they've only been together for like a year. So I feel like even them signing up for this show, it was more like, hey, we're a new couple, let's try new things, here's a new adventure. But I agree, I think Laura could have cared less if they got it or not. And they debated over everything, and it kind of shows even in their newness with one another. Like they didn't have that couple experience where you can read body language or you know how one another works mechanically. They just didn't have that. So yeah, if they were chosen, like it would be a disaster for them, because even the very simple tasks they weren't able to do together, or it took forever. So
I
yeah,
think they made
I
the best shelter, however. I think they made the best shelter. They finished in second quickest, but theirs to me looked the warmest and the most put together. It had the little door and everything. I think they had the best shelter, but don't, just back to the UK. Don't.
So right now, so I'm sad because my favorite couple is gone. I mean,
Who?
they were the only
Theo?
couple I had picked, but yeah. But I'm gonna say, so my second couple was Matt and Rachel, and I think that Matt and Rachel can go all the way, guys. The reason why I say this is because they've known each other since they were kids. They have a really good shorthand. They're younger and they're in great shape. Both of them are in amazing shape. The only thing that I'm kind of like unsure with is that they were like, well, we're not sure if we want to have kids. If we're gonna, have kids here, then they would be having a homeschool. I don't think they thought through that whole portion of it. But I feel
You
like
think?
for me, they would be the best pick because she's an accountant, and so she could do that kind of remotely. And I think he was like, he's like an aerospace, he's like an engineer guy, but he was like, we could, run an outfitter basically. And, there's a lot of people that want to explore, which is interesting. You want to help people explore, but like you just got here, but that's a whole nother thing. But they are now my top pick to win it. What do you guys have top picks?
Mine is Chris and Tina. Yeah, mine is Chris and Tina. Because I think they're right there in the middle. They're not as young as Rachel and Matt, and they're not as old as Mark and Emily or Jane and Pete. And I feel like they both kind of on the same page, and they'll be like a good team together, and they'll have that like vitality to do so. I feel like vitality is one of the biggest components here. Like I know Duane and Rena keep emphasizing on practical skills and communication. Absolutely. But to survive, your body needs to be capable of doing so. So I look at it from that standpoint, and I feel like, they both have good teamwork. They're right there in the middle, not too young, not too old, and they're both healthy enough to do it. And I was impressed with him because of his whole irrigation part, like just that part of him figuring out A to B. I think you need to be able to be that quick. So that was a good sign that they can kind of get by on their own.
I like them too, but what gives me pause is like they still want to see the world. Like they still want to do stuff. You know what I mean? Like, bruh, Alaska need to be the only world you gonna see. Or or maybe not. Like I feel like if they want to not have it as a summer home, but if they still want to travel and come back there, I feel like Duane and Rena don't really like that idea for anybody. They want you to stay stuck in that place. And I'm not sure that's fair either.
And they got to let go a little bit, right? Like they're so attached to it. Even when they give this, they need to let it go a little bit because it's not theirs anymore. Like eventually their job is to choose the best candidate for the place. So, Duane can't haunt these people whether he's there or not, because, everyone has their own dreams and what they're going to do with that home.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's
your top pick, Mike?
Duane and Rena are setting up an Alaskan prison. Whoever wins has got to stay and never leave. I pick who I was going to originally pick before Ashman stolen from me is Mark and Emily. They've been my number one because of the whole farming thing. I think they're just most set up to actually, people don't realize how hardworking farmers are. That I think what they're used to in their normal lives is the closest approximation of what whoever wins is going to have to do with this Alaskan lodge, right? So I think they're the most suited. I think they're older. They're not trying to, Duane didn't want to hear anybody has dreams or aspirations beyond OC Mountain. So I think Mark and Emily's dreams are done. That's fine. Duane likes that. And they could just be trapped on the mountain forevermore. That's
so you trust the twins? Because one of those twins ain't doing nothing with those sheep. So you think that
once we're in Alaska, who cares? The farm, whatever, the lambs, hey, whatever the sun does, let them run it into the ground. Who cares? We're in Alaska now. Alaska's all that matters. OC Mountain has got to become the #1 tourist destination in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, that's really interesting too. Like how, Sway? Like how? How are you gonna do that? How are you gonna do that?
It's gonna work.
Yeah. So, well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you so much for being super fans. If you're watching us right now on YouTube, make sure to comment, give us a thumbs up. We always love those. If you're listening to us on podcast, give us a 5-star rating. We are so grateful to Kevin and Maria to have this platform for us to be able to talk to you about these shows and share our opinions and our personal experiences and how they relate. We will be back today with episode 5. We're getting closer and closer to the final. So guys, my panel, where can we reach you on social media if we wanted to still chat about this Ashman?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram at Insights by Ish.
And guys, I'm Mike Dealing. You can find me later. We're doing episode 5. And then I'm leaving these lovely ladies to do episode 6 alone because I will be doing the Married at First Sight reunion show. And then, of course, Survivor. Ooh, what good episodes yesterday. You can follow me everywhere at Mike Dealing.
Awesome. And I'm your moderator and host, Kay Montgomery. You can find me at Host K, that's HOSTKAY on Instagram and Twitter, chatting and chopping it up. We will see you guys next time on Win the Wilderness. Bye, guys.
What's going to happen?
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.